Today on the Chokeslam Wrestling Report 5th anniversary show, we're going to be talking about the King and Queen pay-per-view that's coming up this Saturday, and we're going to give you our preview of what we think, our prediction on what's coming up with that. Also, we're going to be talking about AEW Double or Nothing, and we're going to be talking about other things, including New Japan, a little bit of New Japan, and what's going on with AEW. Again, we're going to be talking about that and much more on our 5th anniversary of the Chokeslam Wrestling Report. Let's get this.
Is the moment we've all been waiting for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Welcome to another episode of the Chokeslam Wrestling Report, our 5th anniversary show.
Daddy's back.
Yes, indeed, people. We're back for our 5th anniversary, and we're definitely going to start off with the King and Queen of the Ring pay-per-view that's coming up this Saturday. Now, I have not been following a lot of the King and Queen tournament because to me, honestly, I'm going to be real with you. I think that Gunter is going to win the whole thing for the guys, the King and Queen. I see probably Nia Jax winning the Queen of the Ring match unless they give it to Bianca Belair. But, you know, I'm going to go through some of the matches that they already set up and whatnot. Again, I have not been following, but they're supposed to be the Queen of the Ring finals already. Lyra Valkyria already had won her side, and as it's this recording, we were still waiting for the Nia Jax versus Bianca Belair match that's supposed to be happening in SmackDown. Now, honestly, I think WWE already is pushing the Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair breakup too fast. Okay, the woman just won. These women just won the tag team belts, the women's tag team belt, the belts that they didn't give a rat's ass about for a long time. Because let's be realistic, the people who held these tag team titles, besides Naomi and Sasha Banks at that time, or Sasha Banks and Bayley, no one cares about these tag team titles. No one cares. But now that Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair won these belts, I believe it was in Backlash, which was one of the worst matches I've seen Bianca Belair being. And of course, Jade Cargill was there, and they kind of botched this whole damn match and against Damage Control. But I already see that they're already pushing the envelope. WWE does not like marinating on storyline unless it's the bloodline. And a lot of people may not like what I'm about to say as far as that, but let's be realistic. What has been happening in the last 2.5 years, close to 3, and it is when it comes to the bloodline storyline, they'll let it marinate for a long time. It's been marinating for close to 3 to 4 years already. And we have new members now in the bloodline, which is Tama Tonga and Tangaloa, who's now part of Solo Sikoa's new bloodline 2.0. We're waiting for Jacob Fatu to make his debut, if he is coming, or he's going to side with Roman Reigns. But when it comes to everybody else, the storyline for everybody else doesn't marinate like it's supposed to get marinated, So, right now, I think the only thing they kind of marinate a little bit is the Drew McIntyre and the CM Punk. Both guys are hurt. More CM Punk than Drew McIntyre. So they're letting that marinate because these guys are off TV. But I already sense the Bianca Belair and the Jade Cargill, that feud is already going to start. They're not letting these women have a good reign as women's tag team championships. And that shows you that WWE does not care about these tag team belts. And then what's the point? to have them around if you're not gonna let these women put some prestige on these belts. And already I have a feeling that that's not going to happen. Those belts, these girls are going to break up. They're going to put these damn belts again in another tournament or in a, the way WWE does when it comes to titles, they don't put it on tournaments. They'll put them in battle royals because that's what they do. I mean, that's what they did. Didn't they do that with the, I think when what's her name? Rhea Ripley got hurt. They put the belt on a battle royal and gave it to Becky Lynch, which to me, why give the belt to Becky Lynch with so many women's you have there? So I see that I still see Nia Jax winning the Queen of the Ring finals because Jade Cargill got disqualified in her match against Nia Jax unless Bianca Belair wins it, and that's the part where we could see a breakup between these two women. Which to me, it'll be dumb if you're trying to break this up real quick. So, the King of the Ring finals, of course, we're going to have the Gunther versus Randy Orton. I mean, Randy Orton versus Tama Tonga, actually, because, again, we don't know when that's going to happen. The SmackDown that's going to happen this week on SmackDown. Again, it doesn't matter who wins that match between Randy Orton and Tama Tonga. I don't see Tama Tonga being in the finals. I don't see that happening. But I do see Randy Orton against Gunther, which is a better match and a more competitive match. But I still see Gunther winning the damn King of the Ring finals. I don't see anybody else doing it. That's the whole point of him feuding with New Day and him beating the other member. I forgot his name. Not Kofi Kingston, the other one, whatever his name is. And that's the only reason because he won the King of the Ring a couple of years ago. Not Kofi Kingston. I forgot his damn name. Anyway, so I see Gunther winning the King of the Ring for sure. Another match that is going to be in the King and the Queen event is the Intercontinental title. Sami Zayn versus Chad Gable versus Bronson Reed. Can we see probably Chad Gable escaping with this belt, or him or Sami Zayn probably retaining that belt? Now, do I see Bronson Reed winning this belt? I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it. The reason I say it because they really haven't been doing much with Bronson Reed. Yes, he's in there. He's in the three-way. Again, Bronson Reed feels like something of an unnecessary inclusion in this match, given that Zayn and Cable are the hot story already cooking between these two, but they just threw Bronson Reed into the mix. And this is why I say, I don't see Bronson Reed winning the title because Chad Gable has been the one who said he trained Sami Zayn to win the belt. And WrestleMania 40, I see Chad Gable finally winning this belt. Either he cheats, which most likely he will, or somebody from his group is going to get involved, and I see Sami Zayn losing that belt on this pay-per-view. The women's title match, Becky Lynch versus Liv Morgan. Do we really care? I don't care. To be honest, I'm not going to lie. Because Liv Morgan, why are we pushing Liv Morgan with so many talented women in the Raw roster? We've seen the same women every year. It's like Triple H is still doing the same thing. You're not producing new superstar. You're not creating. They talk about AEW not creating superstar, but yet you're using the same people. Becky Lynch, again, world champion. Liv Morgan in the mix. Okay, understandable that she was supposed to be the one that, feud with Rhea Ripley, but Rhea Ripley got hurt. The storyline is most likely Dominic is going to end up being with Liv Morgan, making Rhea Ripley coming back to fight for Dominic. But then again, why Liv Morgan? I mean, I don't see this woman talented at all. I'm sorry. Liv Morgan does not make me sit and watch her match. Becky Lynch, even though she's cringe when she does her promos, but she's a better wrestler than Liv Morgan. I see Becky Lynch retaining of some way, somehow, but other than that, I don't know. That I missed one. Let me see. Actually, no, I didn't miss one. There's only 5 matches they're having for the King and the Queen of the Ring matches. The Cody Rhodes versus Logan Paul. Now, this, you know, I found it kind of dumb, and I'm gonna tell you why I kind of found it dumb. Because what they did was they announced this match, Logan Paul versus Cody Rhodes, title versus title, and they made it seem like the United States title was on the line. As it turned out, all they did was pretty much mock the damn WWE universe because everybody fell for it. They actually thought that Logan Paul was putting his title on the line versus Cody Rhodes. And at the end of the day, last week, we saw that that's not the case. Logan Paul's title is not on the line. That's number one. So they pretty much had all you WWE fans all hype. Oh my God, he's going to be the grand champion. But if it hasn't happened since Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan, WrestleMania 6. That was the last time that title was on the line. A secondary title versus a world title, and somebody actually won and had both belts. That was the last time that I remember. Okay. But WWE likes to play games. So they hyped this up, making it look like it was title versus title, and it turned out that only Cody's belt is on the line. Now, my second thing I'm going to ask is why in the world is Cody wrestling Logan Paul? What's the story behind that? And I'm bringing that up because what I've been seeing most of the time on social media is people talking about, oh, AEW don't have no storylines. AEW doesn't have storyline. They think about banging matches and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. That's all I've been hearing. What's funny that here we have WWE putting Logan Paul versus Cody Rhodes, and there's not really a storyline behind it. Logan Paul is getting another world title shot, okay, in less than 2 years. Meanwhile, they have a bunch of wrestlers that could get a title shot. Bronson Reed is one guy, he should get a title shot, but they're not building him for him to be up there in the world title scene. So instead, they put this clown, a YouTube influencer. Mind you that, yeah, he could wrestle, but this is what WWE does. They're going to put him in the ring with Cody Rhodes and whatnot for the world title with no story behind it. Can somebody tell me if I'm wrong or not? There's no story behind the damn Logan Paul versus Cody Rhodes. Why is this match even happening? And to be honest, Cody Rhodes' title reign has been kind of dull. After he won the belt, which I think was one of the best matches he had at WrestleMania 40, his title reign has now become stale. He had his great match against AJ Styles at Backlash, but now I'm looking at it and it's just like, everything's like this, flatline. Everything just has flatline. And anybody could say, no, I don't know what I'm talking about. It has flatline because all of a sudden now it has flatline and it's led to Logan Paul with no storyline behind it. None whatsoever. Can somebody explain that one to me? So as far as I'm seeing here, I don't know what's this whole King and Queen ring tournament is going to come out, what's going to happen out of it. But I can tell you one thing. If you're going to do King of the Ring or Queen of the Ring tournament, the winner should get a world title shot. Simple as that. Gunther, if he wins the King of the Ring, he should get a world title shot. That should be the angle on the King and the Queen, a King and a Queen of the Ring tournament. That should be the end goal. There should be nothing else. Nothing else. But I probably could be wrong about it, but I know I'm not talking crazy. I'm not talking crazy because I figure if the King of the Queen of the Ring is a tournament, let this tournament, the winner doesn't walk around with a scepter or a crown walking around for a whole year and does not get a title shot, a world title shot, not a United States, not an Intercontinental or tag team, the world title shot. Either the Universal or the world title. Either one. I can't be wrong on that. Let's go now to Double or Nothing. The AEW, of course, and they're not gonna get no pass by me this time, because let me tell you, this Double or Nothing build-up has been probably one of the worst build-ups that AEW has done. The storylines and all that And I'm going to go through the matches here if I can. You know, the one thing I said, these people, they put too many matches. Because I believe, if I'm correct, do they have, let me see, I'm looking here. Actually, I don't think they're even going to have a 0 hour. Wow, I'm surprised. Anyway, so let's go first and we'll talk about the first match that they have scheduled here. It may not happen, but the AEW International Championship with Roderick Strong, the champion, versus Will Ospreay. You know, Ospreay appears to be on the verge of capturing his first AEW championship while continuing to build his case as the greatest in-ring wrestler today, which I do agree on that. But I don't see anything, you know, I don't really see anything as far as Will Ospreay losing this match. They kind of built a little bit between these two guys this week. We saw Ospreay full of blood. I see Will Ospreay probably capturing this belt and putting a belt around him, the International Championship, and then it would make more sense than what they done with this belt. I mean, they gave the belt to Moxley. I remember back when Moxley won that title, I spoke to Jay Santee from the Turnbuckle Tabloid, and I telling him, you know, he wasn't too happy that he had the belt. He said, "Oh, they're not really going to do nothing with this." I said, "Well, if Moxley gets the belt, he could go to Japan dependent, because that's what the international belt should be." The only time that Orange Cassidy defended this belt outside of the United States was when he went to Red Pro, probably a couple of weeks before he lost the belt to Roderick Strong. Went to Red Pro and put it in a 7-way match. Other than that, it has not been defended international. With Will Ospreay now in the mix against Roderick Strong, I could see Will Ospreay beating Roderick Strong for this belt and whatnot, and probably you going to other places, to Mexico, maybe to the United Kingdom. I don't know about Japan, but he could show up at New Japan. As far here in the United States, the New Japan shows that they have here, I think there's going to be one in August. We'll see that happening. But it would be great for him to hold on to this international title and then go to Wembley with that belt and defend that belt. I don't know against who, but it could happen. Another match we saw is Toni Storm versus Serena Deebs. Toni Storm, I mean, her whole gimmick has been great. It's kind of like slowing down now as far as her. It looks like she's now a baby face, but she's in that ring this Sunday against Serena Deebs. Now, are we going to see Serena Deebs beat Toni Storm for the AEW Women's Championship? It could happen. I could see it. Toni Storm has had this belt, I think, since last year. So her reign should be coming to end soon. I see Serena Deebs pretty much winning that match. The Adam Copeland versus Malachi Black in a barbed wire steel cage match. This is going to be crazy because we saw Malachi Black get, soaked with blood and whatnot. And I'm sure that a lot of these WWE fans did not like this. They were talking crap, but pretty much noticed that this is going to be like, don't be surprised if Gangrel shows up in this match with Adam Copeland, because this is what he wanted in WWE, and WWE denied him this. And so now he's going to be able to do it in AEW, and no better person to do it with Malachi Black and whatnot. He's Copeland's putting his body on the line, a barbed wire steel cage match, to be honest. So this is going to be a crazy match, and most likely Brody King and Melody Matthews are going to find a way in that ring. This is hard to predict. We could see Malachi Black beating Adam Copeland in this match. If he doesn't, I'll be surprised. But, Adam Copeland to hold on to that belt, I don't know. It can happen. I have Malachi Black winning this match. John Moxley against Konosuke Takeshita. This is going to be a good match. Regardless of what anybody says who don't like AEW, the trolls, and all these people who always taking shots at AEW, I think this match is going to be great. John Moxley, we're going to probably see him bleed. We're definitely going to see that. And Don Callis getting involved because, remember, it was Moxley who busted Don Callis wide open and left him a scar for life there. So the title, the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship is on, I think is on the line, or it's an eliminator match. So if Konosuke Takeshita wins this match, he will get a IWGP shot and whatnot against Moxley. So most likely, we'll probably see, Moxley retained this belt, but this is going to be a good match. Two hard-hitting guys, and can't wait to see that one. Orange Cassidy versus Trent Beretta. We've been seeing these guys going at it. Not much. I could see probably Trent Beretta getting, beating Orange Cassidy because of outside interference. Not much to say on that one. The FTW Championship. This, I don't really care, to be honest. Chris Jericho versus Hook versus Katsuyori Shibata. Nobody cares. I'm sorry to say it. Nobody cares for Jericho. I'm tired of seeing Jericho. They're trying to find things for Jericho to do, and to be honest, Jericho doesn't take my interest anymore. He's running out of ideas, and for him to be in this type of match with Hook, the FTW is not on sanction. So why this is happening, I don't know. But you could see probably Big Bill getting involved in that. So I won't be surprised. The Unified AEW World Trios Championship, Bullet Club Gold, Jay White and the Gun Club versus Death Triangle. I do not see the Death Triangle winning these belts from the Gun Club. I could see one thing though, Bullet Club pretty much retaining with Juice Robinson showing up. And that's gonna happen. I'll be surprised if Juice Robinson does not show up in this pay-per-view. Because Juice Robinson's been out. He had a back injury. He was had back surgery last year. So he's been a year out of wrestling. Do not be surprised if you see Juice Robinson shows up in this match and the Bullet Club Gold retaining that belt, actually. The TBS title match, Willow Nightingale versus Mercedes Moné. I could see, Mercedes probably getting revenge in some way, maybe cheat and beat Willow Nightingale. If Willow Nightingale beats Mercedes Moné, then I'm going to say, okay, now what? Or Willow turns heel because they're trying to make it Mercedes Moné. I mean, Mercedes Moné in there, again, the last couple of months, she's been cringe to me. Been very cringe. Where she gets on the mic, she talks, and I'm like, I don't want to hear you no more. I don't. It's been like disappointment because I expected more out of her. When she was in New Japan, when she first came, she did one promo and that's it. And then all she did was wrestle. That's all I care about, her wrestling. And pretty much, that's not what she's been doing. All she's been doing is, talking, and the rest until they finally put her through a table. So this is going to be a hard one. I can see Nightingale probably winning. Maybe she's going to turn heel. Or Mercedes Moné beating Nightingale, which makes Nightingale a transition champion because that's what it is. They're going to give a belt to her, knowing Tony Khan the way they are. Yes, the Anarchy in the Arena we already know is going to be the Elite, Cisco Okada, Jack Perry, Matthew Jackson, Nicholas Jackson versus Team AEW, Bryan Danielson, Cash Wheeler, Dax Harwood, and Darby Allin. Again, I wasn't too happy with Darby Allin being added to this match because in reality, Darby Allin was taken out by Jay White. So now you're taking him out of that storyline to put him in this storyline because Eddie Kingston got hurt. So now, I'm going to talk to you about that in a few minutes. So I could see the Elite winning this one. In some way, somehow, I could see either Claudio turning on Bryan Danielson. I could see it. I can see it happening. So, we'll see about that. The AEW World Titles for Strickland versus Christian Cage. I can see Strickland retaining, but do not be surprised. And Prince Nana comes out for some untold reason. He has not been seen on TV. So that's something to watch for and whatnot. So I still see Strickland retaining the belt and whatnot as we wrap that up. So, AEW, the card looks good. The card looks good if you look at it on paper, but it's going to deliver because, AEW has been having issues, which to me, I'm like, whatever. I'm saying? Like, I don't know. This build-up is not the greatest, but I know how AEW works when it comes to their pay-per-view. The pay-per-views are always good, even though their Dynamites has been terrible for most of the year. I mean, they gained 6% this week. They got their 713,000 viewers this week. People talking crap, talking about, they I call it, they got only 6%, but if they don't understand that there was the New York Rangers were playing on Wednesday, and I believe the Celtics, I think either the Celtics and the Mavericks were playing also at the same time. So they had 2 playoff games on TV while Dynamite was going on, and they still got a little higher than last week where they were doing. There was the same thing going on with playoffs. So after the playoffs, who knows? They might go a little bit up with the players around. This could affect. They could even affect WWE if WWE was on Wednesdays, or like NXT. That could have hurt NXT also. So, again, social media is so toxic that you can't. A guy like me, I just can't deal with these wrestling fans, these trolls. The toxic in the wrestling community is just horrible. It's just all time bad. So let's go on to a little, little story here. Cody Rhodes is looking for a classic wrestling manager to join him, and this came after he talked about he signed the contract and saw Logan Paul with all his minions around. People were talking maybe he could bring in Arn Anderson to work as a manager for Cody Rhodes. Remember, Arn Anderson was with Cody in AEW, but really the manager scene in wrestling is not the way it used to be back in the days. So it's a different story. So we'll see. We could probably see that happening. Marigold announces that Julia has suffered a fractured wrist, and you guys probably heard about that during the week. WWE wants to work with Japanese promotion. Marigold with Rossi Ogawa. Now the woman's out probably for a couple of months, and we don't know how quickly she's going to heal because she's supposed to be making her debut in NXT in July. This is what happens. This is what happens when you deal with putting wrestlers out there to work with other promotions. You think WWE wants to send any of the workers to other promotions and get hurt in the process? That's not a good look for you, Mr. Ogawa. So there you go. Eddie Kingston suffered ACL and meniscus tear, will require surgery. So according to this, what I'm seeing here, he is he probably is going to be out for a while. Reported he believed was suffer a broken leg. Mike Johnson, PW Inside, reported that he spoke to Eddie Kingston, confirmed that he also suffered a tear to his ACL and meniscus. So that means his tibia bone got fractured. Plus, he suffered ACL and meniscus. These injuries require surgery. Johnson knows that with this injury, Kingston recovery will likely put him out of action for about 9 months. So he's not going to be able to be at All In, which is horrible because, he did participate last year in that. So, that's not a good look. Also, AEW All Out moved to September 7th. So that's probably almost 2 weeks after All In. So they got moved to September 7th. So, I mean, I don't know how the card's going to look because that's in September. So we still got another 4 months ago. Francisco Akira to miss the remainder of New Japan Pro Wrestling Best of Super Junior due to injury. So he's going to be sidelined. It looks like the injury bug is going around a lot in wrestling with these wrestlers just on a 100 miles per hour wrestling. And Akira is one of those young super juniors out there that is great. And when I gave Kid has a problem with John Moxley being the IWGP champion, he said, if you're going to be an IWGP champion, you stay in Japan. That's it's always been. So Gabe Kidd, of course, went and talked about that. And when he said, Gabe Kidd isn't a fan of the current situation surrounding the IWGP World Championship. He said at New Japan Windy City Riot, John Moxley defeated Naito, captured the title for the very first time in his career. This title switch came as a shock for many fans. Moxley does not regularly appear in New Japan in Japan. So as it turned out, Gabe Kidd was not a fan of the move either. While speaking to the Fightful for a new interview, Keith said that the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship has a responsibility of showing up in Japan. He said, if you're going to be IWGP champion, you stay in Japan. That's how it's always been. You talk about respect for this company and that title. Well, come here for a month, or you can't, or you can't. You have a family home. You have a commitment in America. That's a shame. I don't give a, F. If you're the champion, you have a responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility. F and deal with it. So he's not a fan, which in a way, I don't know why they gave Moxley the title, but again, remember, New Japan is trying to establish a fan base here in the United States since 2019, since the 5 years. So a lot of wrestlers, especially these kids, and he's not the only one who talked about that. New Japan also announced that Sonata is medically clear, prepared for in-ring return. I didn't even know he was injured, but I haven't seen him in the last couple of wrestling matches, Resurgence, and I think Wrestling Dontaku was the last couple of events that were there. Gay Kid also gave a warning to Cody Rhodes. Yes, Cody Rhodes said, stay out of my territory before I slap you up and take your belt again. Now, this comes after, I guess, Gabe Kidd wrestled Cody Rhodes years ago and actually pinned Cody Rhodes for a championship back then. That's a warning, and New Japan star Gabe Kidd took the Twitter X to respond to a post from undisputed WWE champion Cody Rhodes, who used an eyeball emoji to react to another post that highlighted WWE's upcoming return to Japan. Kidd warned Rhodes to stay out of his territory before he slap him up and take his belt again. Kidd included a clip on which he can see pinning Rhodes. Kidd previously pinned Rhodes on a three-way match that included Joe Henry at WCPW No Regrets in 2017. With the win, he won Rhodes' WCPW Internet title. So pretty much, needless to say, a lot has changed since then. Rhodes is face of WWE, reigning undisputed WWE champion. Kidd recently scored a big win when he beat Eddie Kingston to capture the Never Openweight Championship at New Japan Resurgence. As noted, WWE will return to Japan for the first time since 2010 with 3 live events in July and whatnot. So there you go. There you go, guys. And pretty much, that is the news of this week. It's been a lot. So again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in on this episode. And again, this is the 5th anniversary special of the Chokeslam Wrestling Report. Again, before I leave, let me say a few things. It's been a ride. 5 years in the making. 5 years in the making. It's been a ride when it comes to dealing with wrestling fans, dealing with independent wrestlers, dealing with other podcasters. It's been a ride. Now, the positive of the podcast, the 5 years that I've been able to work with a lot of people, with a lot of other podcasters, and some of them I still work with, some of them I haven't heard from, and I mean, those who I haven't heard from, if you decided that you didn't want to work with me no more because I went and hurt your feelings about your promotion, hey, you sometimes got to face the truth. Because I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything. If your promotion is not doing well, I'm gonna speak about it, whether you like it or not. I work with other ones, and which I have a good relationship with that I haven't done podcasts with them, whatever, because I had kept myself to myself and pretty much looking at the terrain of the podcast world and the things that some of these podcasters say that I say to myself, I can't deal with it. So I'm not the type of person that I'm gonna go and share and come to a podcast and have the same mindset of 98% of these wrestling trolls out here who think that a company, like for WWE, for example, if WWE does something wrong, they're doing great, whatever. Same thing with AEW. AEW doing great, in which in reality they are not. And I'm one that I'm a critical thinker. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to say what I feel is, I'm going to speak out. And if you don't like it, well, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I've been here for 5 years doing this. I enjoy doing this and hope to do another 5 in the future. And again, it's been great. I have met a lot of great people. I met, again, Jay Santee, of course. I got to give him props for him because he's the one pretty much looked out for me when I first started here. Big ups to Dre on Wheels, 1130 podcast. You know what I'm saying? They come out of nowhere and they just invite me to their shows. When it comes to the independent scene, same thing. The independent scene when it comes to the wrestlers, I got to give shout out to Chris Cage because Chris Cage was the first guy who ever put me in one of his, promos in Project Codename Wrestling about a couple of years ago, which, I mean, I was excited about it. I was like, oh, wow, that was an experience. Shout out to ECPW and Matthew and whatnot, who gave me the opportunity in 2019 to actually join the commentating team in his show, which I didn't know what I was doing. But, they say, in order to be, ready, you got to be prepared. You know what I'm saying? If you're not prepared, then you're not, you're not ready. You know what I'm saying? So I did what the best I can, something I will never forget. And of course, to the independent wrestlers like PJ Savage, he forever, I will thank him because this guy, remember when he won the Titan Championship Wrestling, he invited me to come. I had front row seat when he won the Funhouse title and the Titan Championship World title, and I was there to celebrate with him and his family. So I had a lot of good experience when it comes to this podcast thing, but also a lot of negative stuff also. But that comes with everywhere you go when you work or whatever the case may be. So at the end of the day, I'm glad to do what I do. Again, 5 years. I can't believe it's been 5 years. So hopefully, continue. Thank you for all your support, guys. Again, you guys want to support the podcast and whatnot, hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can find me in those places. Also, big up to Mr. Scott, who is the owner of Jonas Podcasting Network. I've been with him for the last probably 3 years and whatnot. So big up to my man, Mr. Scott himself. So he does many people don't know about him, but he does a lot of work with a lot of the UK wrestlers and commentating and interviewing. So check the Jonas Podcasting Network when you guys get a chance. There's a lot of podcasts. Big up to my boy Michael Jolly from Wrestling with the Bear, another podcast from the UK. So big ups to them. So a lot of people that I could say thank you for, but it is what it is. Again, you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Also check out my TikToks. You can't miss that. So check that out. So again, guys, thank you for everything that you do. Once again, also check out you guys got to check out my podcast store, TCWR.veryimpressive.com. That's TCWR.veryimpressive.com. Again, check out all the shirts, hats, sweaters. They're all there. Check it out. Support the podcast, and I will appreciate it. So till then, guys, I will see you next week with more of the Chokeslam Wrestling Report.